to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome to Wake Up Africa on the Dr. Mumbi Show. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really want to thank every single person that supports us on this channel, that supports us through Patreon and PayPal to bring forth this critical message. Because literally, beloveds, we are in an endgame scenario. It's too late now for us to debate, to argue. There's no more time for that. You kind of have to go with what you know. And so really what you should be focusing on right now is knowing more, is digging deeper, is finding out more, and is moving into a spiritual paradigm, because the mental colonization of Africa, it's always been about that, beloveds. And if we see how it's happening now, it's like whatever the purpose of colonialism was, whatever the purpose of slavery was, we are seeing the end game now. It wasn't then, beloveds. It wasn't back then. It was all about this moment. It was all about this time. The reason that so many original nations were taken out by what many call, these religious crusaders of the universe, who have literally been just trying to mash many things up, let me not say in many worlds, I might lose people then, but here in particular, colonialism and slavery was always about getting us mentally, because the world is mental, and as the original supreme beings, we are the ones who create that mental world together or separately, because each of us is creating our experience. Each of us is creating, our world, and then when we're all brought together, it kind of, you see the results of us coming together. So everything with colonialism, because, the enemies of our souls, the colonizers, and I keep saying it's deeper than the Mzungus. The Mzungus aren't clever enough to have pulled this off, but they were spiritually weak enough to be the perfect instruments, to be the perfect vehicles for whatever, wicked spirit has literally invaded this world. And so what we see is that the colonialists, if you really study history and you study how, they bombarded us for hundreds of years. They came, the missionaries came first. Then the trade came, pulling us slowly out of our reality. Then their government systems came. But the colonial systems, most of them only lasted, the actual colonial systems where the Mzungu was in charge, only lasted, 50 to 100 years, let's say. So why did they go to that extent? It wasn't about that, beloveds. And I keep telling you, our ancestors said these people walked through the front door, turned back around and came in through the side door. So it was never about colonizing our lands and taking our people from here to there. It was about mentally conquering us. And the way they've mentally conquered us is they've taken our story, beloveds, and they've added so much confusion and obscurity. So much confusion and obscurity that people are arguing about things that don't even matter, because time never stops, beloved. The world never pauses. But we are in like a mental loop, which is what created the Matrix. Because you see, if you think about it, it's been such a genius plan. It literally, the colonizers, it's not even them, but the face behind the colonizers, the enemies of our souls, they started by literally penetrating the whole world, then making sure people came online with the language, naming everything, and creating nation states, so that already that is their kingdom. Because Kenya wasn't invented by the melanated people. It's a figment of the Mzungu man's imagination that we have held on to. Same with Nigeria, same with Zimbabwe, same with Zambia. They literally recreated our mental world, beloved. And if we don't know the 7 principles of the world and how it runs as a starting point, if we don't fully understand that the world is mental, and that all kinds of, perception magic, chaos magic, all this mentalism, narcissism, all of this has been done to handicap us from creating our world or from even knowing we have those capabilities. Because we've been cloned, beloveds. If you look at how we act, what we're wearing, what we're doing, how we're speaking, the fact that for example, in most countries in Africa that were former British colonies, all the cases in the court have to be written in English. They can't be written in Kiswahili. In fact, it's one of the things that Magufuli recently changed, where he said all court cases must be written in Kiswahili. But this is the colonization of our nations. And the Mzungu has laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed because it was never about getting Kenya back, fighting for the independence of South Africa. We can't, because everything is mental. South Africa is a concept of the Mzungu man's imagination. So how do you get something back from someone's imagination, beloveds? And it's such a massive confusion, and then creating obscurity about who we are. So we have no anchor. These are the things that have totally mashed us up and have made it difficult, so we can't go back physically because we'd have to tear everything down. Every nation would have to go, beloveds. Everything of the foreigner would have to go, and some of us are in too deep. So the only way out of this is spiritually, beloveds, by walking away from the matrix, because it was never ours to begin with. So I find it very confusing when we fight for a matrix that has imprisoned us. When we fight, when we're saying we want to fight for something, anything within the matrix, when really what is required of each and every one of us is to walk away. It was all about this time, beloveds. It was all about what we're seeing unfolding right now. The fact our kingdoms were broken, they created fake nations, and then they put their puppet presidents in place for such a time as this. More African presidents have gotten the vaccination than any other presidents on any continent in the world. Which should tell you something, beloveds. So what are we supposed to be doing now? Because the mental colonization is now reaching its completion. If we don't get out of the matrix, of the Babylon matrix, we will fall with it, and many will. And that's the problem, beloveds. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back to Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. I really hope you've liked and shared this video. I'd love to see your comments below. And I think it's very important. And these are just wake-up calls. I'm not here to really teach anything, because I think there's brilliant teachers online. If there's a keyword that kind of resonates with your spirit, just dig deeper. But really, these are like an emergency wake-up call, because we are at the end game of the end game, beloveds. It was all about this. It was all about what's happening now. Creating a new mental world order. They had to get us online on the same page with languages. They had to get us on the same page with politics, get rid of our nations, get rid of our elders, get rid of how we did politics, which was at a more highly advanced level than what we're seeing right now, where it was always about, consensus. So it was never majority rule, because then you'd have like half of the community that hadn't agreed with certain things, disgruntled and unhappy. We never elected people. We never allowed, Masonic orders to select our presidents. Presidents were our greatest warriors, our greatest spiritualists, magicians, whatever you want to call them. The wisest ones, the ones with the greatest, the chosen ones. Leaders were known by the seers of the community. They knew when a great leader was coming through. But we left that highly advanced stage, and what a beautiful life it was, for the confusion we're in right now. They had to get us through politics. They had to get us through education. They had to get us into their money system. They had to get us online, which is why there's been such a massive, massive push across the African continent to get a mobile phone in every youth man's hand. So mobile phones have become so cheap, they've been flooded. I think, there's more mobile phones than there are, there's more mobile phones than there are I can't even say it. The basics that people would need than drinking water. People have more access to a mobile phone than they do to clean drinking water in Africa. And they've dumped these, and then now our people don't realize even the damages of this device and how it's said to cause tumors, etc., etc. We just jumped onto it. And now we're all online, which means that even the little power that presidents and leaders and spiritual leaders had in nations is gone. Because you can be invaded, not with a bullet and a gun, but you can be invaded with ideas, with rumors, with propaganda. That's where we're at, beloveds. That's the only way it's possible to lock down an entire world. And to keep people in this fear. I mean, people are in so much confusion. I even wonder how many people that we interact with even really have done the necessary research to know what's going on. Because the fluoride in your water makes you slow. All the poisons in the things you love, the ice creams, the whatever, makes you docile. Everything has been done to get you to take the mark. And this is the mark, beloveds. We are in the season of the mark. But many are already there. And that's why, if you are a chosen one, this is not the world we're saving. Walk away. Allow the ancestors and the spirit to show you what you should be building, what you should be creating. Flow in spirit. Heal thyself from the toxicity of the matrix. Get that balance. Strengthen your heart, beloveds, and strengthen your mind. Because you can't afford to fall because of the ignorance of the people around you. It's going to require people to be brave. It's going to require people to really move in spirit and in truth. And to let go of all those things that the Babylon matrix made us think were important. Because many people are stuck in the mind, in their minds, in this foreign matrix mind. And they're so open to it that it can easily penetrate them and take them out. Many of our people won't make it, beloveds, unless there's some amazing revival, reformation. I don't know. It was all about this, beloveds. It was all about this. about creating a new mental world order, and it won't work. That's why you need to liberate yourself as much as possible. And that's why I'm saying start by getting out of the cities. Anything that makes you addicted or dependent on Babylon, you must let go of. Or find alternatives in nature to help you do it. Because we're in too deep, beloveds. All we can do is seriously walk away. Because what would be required, and we should be chanting for this anyway, is such amazing spiritual revival. It's a mental revival. But with all the presidents, I mean, we have 54 presidents right now. Even just, and actually, maybe even 100, because they have a president and a prime minister. And then hundreds of prime ministers. These are all the gatekeepers of this system. They would never agree for what needs to happen, which means like the entire Africa needs to fall so that our Eden can rise again. And Africa will. This fake Africa that has been created by Babylon, Africa will fall. Because the ancient ones are back. And it's time for us to get to rebuilding Eden. And we ain't got time to waste. We've already won victoriously in the spiritual realm. But if you do not... so that's why I'm saying, beloveds, it's about you. It's about you. It's always been about you. And getting your mind back. Until next time. Tuko pamoja.